Hey guys, it's Miss Sydney. I'm so happy to see you today. Today, for our learning activity, we're going to be learning about some different words for tools that people use for lots of kinds of jobs. We're going to talk about 3 different kinds of tools. We're going to talk about kitchen tools, gardening tools, and building tools. So those are the 3 categories of tools that we're going to talk about. All right. Let's see if we can learn some new words about these tools. We'll start with kitchen tools. Probably most of you guys have seen all of these tools in your house. All right, let's take a look. I got these out of my own kitchen. The first kitchen tool I'm going to show you is a pot. This is a small pot that's called a saucepan. And you use it for cooking liquid things like soup or gravy or things like that. This is a pot or a saucepan. Do you have one of these at your house? All right, let's take a look at what other kitchen tools I have. Ooh. These are called tongs. They're used for picking things up and grabbing things. Sometimes I use them to move something from one pan to the other pan. You use them so your hands don't get dirty or burnt. Tongs. These are a kitchen tool. Tongs. You have to use your strong finger muscles for tongs. All right, let's see what else we have for kitchen tools. Ooh, here's some tools that you use for measuring in the kitchen. We've done some activities with these so far. I have a measuring cup, and I have another measuring cup. These are both called measuring cups, but this one where you can pour, this one is called a liquid measure. It's for measuring things that are wet, like milk or oil or water. This is a liquid measuring cup, and this is a dry measuring cup. You'd use this one for like flour or sugar or things that are not wet. Let's take a closer look at this measuring cup. I see some numbers on it. That number 1 means you have 1 cup of liquid. Then it shows you right here how many ounces. So there are lots of numbers on my measuring cup. I wonder if you have a measuring cup at your house with numbers. All right, so we've got measuring cups. All right, and these are called measuring spoons. This is what you use when you want to measure something really tiny. Like if there's something spicy, you might not want to use a big measuring cup. Or if there's something that adds a little bit of flavor, like maybe pepper or cinnamon, you would use a little measuring spoon. So right here I have a teaspoon and a half of a teaspoon. I bet you guys have some measuring spoons at your house too. All right, I've got 2 more kitchen tools to look at. Oh, no, I have 3. This one is called a pan or a skillet. This is something you put on the oven. You might cook eggs or meat in it, and it makes your food nice and hot so that you can eat it. You got to hold on to that handle so you don't burn your fingers. A pan or a skillet. All right, the next one I have is also something you use for baking, and it is a cookie sheet or a cookie pan. This is what you might use if your mom makes cookies or if you make French fries in the oven. You fill it up with whatever you're going to cook, you pop it in the oven, turn your oven on, and when the timer goes off, you pull it out and your cookies are done. A cookie sheet or a cookie pan. And my last kitchen tool is my favorite. It's a spatula. And this is what you use for mixing. You can scrape things off the side of the bowl. It helps you when you're pouring things out. You can use it to stir things in your skillet when you're cooking. A spatula. All right, so let's look back over our kitchen tools. We had tongs, a spatula, a skillet or a pan, a cookie sheet, a pot or a saucepan, and our measuring tools, measuring spoons and measuring cups. Those are the kitchen tools that I'm going to tell you about. Now let's see what kind of gardening tools I can find. All right, I didn't have as many of these. Gardeners don't use as many tools as people use in a kitchen, but I did find a few. All right, the first ones are kind of big, so I'll do those first. Anybody ever seen one of these? It's a little bit pokey. You use it like this. This is called a rake. But this is not a rake like people use to rake leaves. This is a rake that gardeners use to smooth out the dirt in their garden. A rake. Next, this is a very important tool if you're a gardener. I bet you guys know what this is called. A shovel. Shovels are for digging holes so that you can plant seeds or moving dirt. A shovel. Next, I have something that protects a gardener's hands. Gardening gloves. Gardening gloves will keep your hands from getting yucky, dirty, and if the soil is wet or cold, it can protect your hands from that too. Gardening gloves are something that gardeners use all the time to use their hands in the dirt. So gardening gloves. All right, I've got two more tools for gardening. This one is a flower pot. You put dirt in it and there are holes in the bottom so the water can drip out when you water your plants. So you would put dirt in, plant flowers, water it, and this pot would keep your flowers growing and safe and all the dirt in one small spot. A flower pot. And the last tool gardeners might use is a bucket. Buckets are very useful for carrying dirt from one place to another. Like you might have a bunch of dirt over here. You can fill up your bucket with your shovel and pour out your dirt wherever you need it. Buckets for carrying dirt. All right, so our gardening tools were bucket, gardening gloves, a flower pot, a shovel, and a rake. Those are the gardening tools. All right, we've got one more type of tool. This is what we usually think of when we say the word tools, and I borrowed some of Mr. Hunter's tools. These tools are for building. So we talked about kitchen tools and gardening tools. The last kind of tools are tools people use for building. All right, let's take a look. The first tool I have, ooh, this is heavy. Anybody know what that's called? You use it for putting nails in. This is a hammer. Hammers are used for building. People use them to hammer in nails, to pull things out, to make things go into the ground. A hammer. All right, this next one is called, it's very small, a screw. A screw has little lines and a pointy bottom for you to screw them into something. A screw. These hold things together, kind of like a nail, except nails go straight in, screws have to spin to go in. Then I have a measuring tool called a measuring tape. Uh-oh, it's upside down. See those numbers on there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And this is a long one. It goes a long way. Measuring tapes are used to see how long something is. Things that are really big, like a big piece of wood or a room in your house. People who build use measuring tapes to see how long things are, kind of like rulers. All right, then I have a wrench. A wrench is something you use to tighten or untighten a screw. So I can make my wrench fit on my screw, and then I can use it to spin, and I can use it to make it looser or tighter. A wrench. Whoop. A wrench. Okay, I've got 2 more building tools. This next one is called pliers. Pliers open and close, and they're used for holding things tightly. These pliers can hold things way tighter than my fingers can hold them. Pliers are used to hold. You can twist things. You can hold something while you're hammering it in so you don't hurt your fingers. You can pull small things out of little places. Pliers are for holding things tightly. And the last tool I have, you guys have maybe seen one of these. This is called a screwdriver. Screwdrivers are something that builders use a lot to put screws into walls, to put them into wood. Anything that they're building, they might need to put a screw in to hold it together. And there are lots of kinds of screwdrivers, but builders use them a whole lot to screw in screws that hold their pieces together. So we'll go over all of our building tools again. We had a screwdriver, a measuring tape, a hammer, a wrench, and pliers. Gosh, we learned a lot of new words today about tools. Now, I wonder what tools you have at your house that you can find.